All right. It's time now for IP in the news. And
Okay.
Elizabeth, you were the one that wanted to kick it off today. So please do.
Okay. So we had talked about this a little before the show, and everybody was as stumped as I was. Zillow gone wild. You ever heard of it? It's a,
No.
it's I don't know, I can't
But
imagine.
4 million people have. They have a huge following.
So
Don't take my word for it.
it's a site on it's like a Facebook page, and then it's also a site on HGTV now. But they're taking pictures of high-end homes and getting the best ones together and putting them on this Facebook page saying, look at the best of Zillow, whatever. We can't find any association with Zillow. However, they are not asking people if they can use their photographs. And somebody finally decided that was enough.
So let me see if I've got this right. So Zillow has these high-end homes. And of course, if you've ever been to Zillow, you see it's got all the pictures of all the houses.
But not just high end on Zillow. Zillow's everything.
And but Zillow Gone Wild, they took like the best pictures from the best homes and put that on a separate website.
Yeah, called, well, I don't think it's a website even. I found it on Facebook.
Okay, so it's a Facebook page
And an
and it's called
HGTV show
Zillow Gone
now.
Wild.
Zillow Gone Wild. And they're not the only ones that are stealing pictures from people, but real estate photographer discovered her photos on Zillow Gone Wild. And she was like, wait, you can't use those without giving me something for
So
them.
this is tricky. So suppose if you're a real estate agent and you hire somebody to take photos of your client's house and then you post them on your website and then it ultimately gets posted on Zillow, those would typically be considered property of the real estate agent if they paid for them and if they had a contract, right? But in this case, the photos were then taken from the real estate agent or from Zillow and put on this website. And now the photographers are getting upset about that, right? And so the question is, does the photographer, are they entitled to any money for this? And so I guess I'd like ask our guests before I weigh in on this. I'd like to ask our guests what they think about this. Brent, you look like you're thinking about this very heavily and that you probably have a strong opinion on it. So please let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? How that happens. And you would think it would be their property, their intellectual property, and they would not be able to just post that or use those pictures and to do that. So I don't know if there's some kind of copyright there or not, or if it's a gray area. But then again, the thing you always have to look at is a lot of people what they'll tend to do. And I've been guilty of this myself in the past where instead of asking for permission first, I ask for forgiveness later, right? And it's probably not always the right thing to do, but that's what happens because even if there's a problem and even if they're not supposed to be doing that and you want to pursue that, you've got some battles to go through. You got to hire maybe an attorney, go through the legalities. So
Yeah, what I'm going to say is slightly off topic, but it's not uncommon for our clients who take photographs without permission and they use them on their Facebook page or their website. They get cease and desist letters from attorneys, and like the minimum ask is $20,000.
yeah.
And yeah, they're just I just took a picture. What's the big deal? But the laws are actually strict on that. In this case, yeah, I agree. It's a confusing situation because really, who has the rights? So, Arnold, what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's complex, but I think there's some general expectation that, if you post something publicly on a website that's accessible by the public, that theoretically it can be used. And you have the same arguments going back with search engines, surfacing content, surfacing images, surfacing videos, and things like that on Google or Bing or whatever. And then even in a more complex topic, when you talk about AI and LLMs using all the public domain data that's
Right.
out there in the world, every written piece of information, and that's all been trained on AI, right? So it's a similar sort of argument, and it's somewhat of a gray area. But to this extent, in my opinion, you can use something, but at least have a mechanism to be able to take that down. So DCMA takedown notices, things like that, they can send a notice, please take that down, and they should respect that. And also, there should be a way for systems to give consent for those things to be used. So, like in Google's case, for example, They have these robots text files essentially that give consent to search engines to crawl the site. And these are generally used mechanisms to provide consent for other people to use content.
Yeah, I think those are the issues. It's the consent. It's in this case, the photographer was already paid once by the real estate agent, right? Are they really entitled to us? At that point, it becomes the
No,
real
it's-
estate
it's-
agent's property.
Right.
Is the photographer really entitled to another
No.
dip?
The real estate agent is the one who is doing the copyright infringement suit.
Yeah.
Again, it depends. It'll depend on the contract that the realtor signed with the photographer, right? So it
Yeah.
depends who owns
Right.
copyrights. But again, I think there's some general expectations around when you post something online, can that be syndicated out to other sites and things like that?
Yeah, Joe?
Yeah, I don't love it. Yeah, I hear you on all your points, and it's one of those things that's a gray area. I think having a mechanism like was being discussed previously to send cease and desist and at least have a process will be really important. But at the same time, we know that they'll then get ahead of that somehow too, right? Like
Right.
within, selling on something online and then saying, hey, you don't have the right to do that, pull it down, and then before you know it, they're selling on Sundays at 11 a.m. when you're not looking. So there's always ways to get around, but it's nice. We should absolutely have a process in place. But boy, whenever I hear Zillow, still get stuck on the fact that I can go look up all my friends' houses and see how much they were worth.
I
I'm
know,
still
and that's
stuck
why we brought it up
for that.
because
Love that. I do. Speaking of intellectual property, I do have to credit the person who wrote this article when we found it. So it was from artnet.com by Brian Boucher. Just thank you, Brian. So,
we appreciate that. And if you want to learn more about intellectual property, you can find out at our website at www.gerhardtlaw.com, or you can use the contact form there and schedule a consultation with me, Richard Gerhardt. We'd be happy to discuss any patent, trademark, or copyright issues with you.